There are seemingly a lot of rules and customs in Japan, and it can be very easy to forget or miss some of them. In this video, we'll go over everything you need to know to be a respectful tourist and have the best Japan experience you can. Let's go to Japan.
The next station is Tokyo.
Hey guys, Hoang here, and today we are going to talk about manners in Japan. And just like each person has their own house rules, Japan has its own set of rules and customs too. So today we will go over 20 key ones to help make your experience a pleasant one. I've covered some of these things before in various videos, but I wanted to put all of it together in one place to make it easier to reference. This is a pretty good video to revisit right before your flight to Japan. On that note, let's dive into it. The core of Japanese culture revolves around respect, and understanding that will help everything else in this video make sense. Culture in Japan emphasizes respect and politeness, and you will see all of this throughout your time in Japan, as it is something taught at a young age to kids in Japan. One very noticeable way is bowing and body language. Even the angle of the bow shows different levels of respect, with a deeper bow showing more respect. Seniority is important in Japan, with the expectation being to always respect people older than you. Body language is also important, such as avoiding prolonged direct eye contact, as that could be seen as confrontational rather than attentive. I have a whole video on tourists disrespecting Japanese culture, and it's basically a what not to do in Japan video, so if that's something that you're interested in, go and check that out. Be respectful of not only the people, but the temples, shrines, buildings, trees, and all other parts of Japan as well. Next, continuing on the topic of respect, is being quiet in public. You will notice in a massive city like Tokyo, where there are lots of people around, it is surprisingly quiet. People do talk, but like at indoor levels outside. There's not a ton of cars honking and people yelling like in New York City, for example. It is quite a memorable experience because you can actually hear sounds that normally get covered up by noise, such as individual footsteps or even breathing. If you've seen the movie Kpop Demon Hunters, EJ, the singing voice of the main character Rumi, was recording the song How It's Done in Japan. She explained in an interview that she was in Japan recording, and she talks about just how quiet it is in Japan.
Japan's quiet, okay?
And when she was singing, someone who was outside was startled.
I purposely put my headphones and when I took it off, I heard someone like, Nani? Like,
I'll link to that clip below if you want to see it. All of this for people coming from other cultures, especially louder and more expressive cultures, may find it hard to be quiet in public spaces, especially if you are traveling with friends and having a good time. Trains in Japan can be very crowded, but are near silent, as respecting others on trains and being quiet is very big there. So do silence your phones and do not take phone calls on the train. Also, while on the train, there are areas with reserved seating for elderly people, disabled people, pregnant women, or adults with infants. While anyone can use the seat if the train is not busy or there isn't anyone who needs the seat specifically, but if you have a seat, especially one of these priority seats, then if you see someone who may need it, you should offer the seat to them. There are also some train cars that are marked as women only and are designed to provide women the ability to not have to be crammed onto a train car during rush hour with a bunch of men, and to prevent disruptive behavior on trains. If you are a man and find yourself accidentally boarding one of these women-only train cars, it can be quite embarrassing. The expectation is that you should exit at the next stop and switch over to the regular train car. Don't stay in the women's-only train car and make people around you uncomfortable. One other thing in regards to trains especially, but also in general as well, is public space, or lack thereof. In order to be respectful of others, the expectation is that each person will try to take up as little space as possible in order to give others space. Oftentimes, that means being careful with how much luggage you bring onto a train or carrying your backpack on the front instead of on your back while on a train. This prevents you from accidentally bumping into people and reduces a bit of space as well. The added effect is that it keeps your bags visible and can prevent pickpockets as well. The epitome of lack of public space can be found during the peak train times when the famous people pushers come out and help cram people onto trains. In these scenarios, you will typically have little to no personal space at all. So if you want to avoid this, you may want to avoid the trains during peak rush hour, especially during crowded seasons in Japan. Now, to get to the trains, you will encounter the dreaded stairs, though there will be times where you will be blessed with an escalator. While riding the escalator in Japan, the expectation is that one side is for standing and one side is for walking or running if you're late. The etiquette is standing on the left side and walking on the right side in most of Japan, but if you are in Osaka and in the Kansai region of Japan, you will stand on the right and walk on the left. All of this is to continue to respect those around you who may be in a rush. You will notice even during rush hour when it is super crowded that they maintain this order. So do your part and don't cause traffic by standing on the walking side of the escalator. If you want to avoid the stairs or escalator, you can alternatively use an elevator. Elevators in Japan have their own set of unseen rules. Most of these rules apply more to locals and especially office workers as they interact with colleagues or managers on the elevator. This is actually a bit complicated, so if you are curious about this, you can find it in this guide that will explain it all. But the TLDR of this is just like in the conference room where seating and placement matters in Japan, where you stand in the elevator matters. In Japanese culture, the youngest will be in charge of holding the door and will stand in the front of the panel to press the buttons for the others in the elevator. Office workers will prioritize customers, then their superiors or elders before getting off, and are expected to put your hand on the side of the door to hold it open for others. As for regular tourists, the expectations are a bit simpler. When entering the elevator, if you are the first one in, be sure to hold the door open for anyone else who may be entering. Stand toward the edges of the elevator to provide room for others and to allow anyone exiting to be able to do so easily. That's about it. Nothing too crazy, and most of it is pretty standard protocol in other places around the world as well. But in short, be respectful for others and of their space in the elevator. Now, let's talk about eating in public. You should not eat while on a train in Japan, though this is mainly for local commuter trains. If you are on a long distance train such as the Shinkansen or bullet train, you are allowed to eat food there. You can find fold down trays on the Shinkansen to allow you to eat your meal, with popular train meals being bento boxes that you can buy at many train stations. It is considered rude to eat on local trains. Also, refrain from eating foods with strong smells that may disturb others. Additionally, you should not eat while walking in Japan. If you buy food from a food stall, the expectation is that you stand nearby the stall and finish the food item there, and then hand any trash items back to the stall worker who will collect it and dispose of it properly for you. This brings us to trash rules in Japan, and this one is interesting, with a lot of people complaining about the lack of public trash cans, while others are like, there's no problem here. So here's the truth about Japan's trash cans, or lack thereof. There are less public trash cans than in most cities. You won't find them on street corners as you would in other big cities or along the sidewalks. This despite the streets of Tokyo looking so much cleaner than nearly any other city on earth. Japan has essentially moved their trash cans from being out in public to other places such as in train stations or malls. Convenience stores like 7-Eleven, Lawson, and Family Mart also do have trash cans as well, so that's a great place to go, and those stores are pretty convenient. You can find them everywhere. If you have trash on you and you are outside, you are expected to keep it on you until you are able to get to a trash can. It can be wise to carry around a small bag to carry your trash should you need to keep it on you for some time. So while public trash cans are not as common as in other cities, they are there in train stations, malls, convenience stores, and make sure to use them to prevent from littering and to keep Japan clean, and to prevent you from getting in any unnecessary unwanted trouble. You can get in trouble and fined pretty severely for littering, along with spitting on the ground or spitting gum out onto the street. Again, be respectful and keep Japan clean. Next, let's talk about something else people have a hard time finding in Japan: restrooms in public. The point here is mainly the manners for the restroom. Mainly bringing your own handkerchief or hand towel to wash your hands. In the restrooms here, you won't find paper towels at many of the restrooms in Japan, and at some you may not even find soap. The soap thing is becoming a little less common, but the lack of paper towels or electronic hand dryers is still something that you will notice. I got a lot of comments about this in previous videos, specifically talking about Japan's culture around minimizing trash and that kids grow up carrying hand towels and that it is the culture there. So that's something to keep in mind while you're packing for Japan. You can also find cute and fun hand towels being sold all over Japan if you wanted something fun that is both useful and makes for a great souvenir. So if you end up waiting in line for the bathroom or a restaurant, just know that lines are sacred in Japan. Don't skip the line or reserve spots for people who aren't there. This is very much frowned upon. You will also find people forming orderly lines everywhere. In some countries, the custom may be to mob an entrance as soon as it opens, say for a theme park, for example, but in Japan, at Disneyland, for example, you will find very long but orderly lines outside the gates early in the morning as people wait for their turn to enter. If you are at a location where there are multiple spots to go up to, say at a hotel with 3 receptionists working, in some countries, individual lines may form at each receptionist, while in Japan, the common culture is to form one single line where the person at the front of the line will go to the next available receptionist. This basically ensures the first come, first serve principle, and this is important in the whole respecting others mentality in Japan. If you get there first, you should be served first. So be patient and wait your turn. Hopefully, whatever you are waiting for is worth the wait. Speaking of worth the wait, restaurants will often have waits, especially during dinner time. But once you are inside, there are manners you should follow at your table, especially regarding your chopsticks. There are some things that you should do and some things that you shouldn't. Let's go over chopstick manners. When you are not eating, you should put your chopsticks down onto a chopstick holder, not directly onto the table. Restaurants will either provide them or you can make your own out of the paper that the chopsticks sometimes come in. If you are eating out of a communal plate, either use communal chopsticks, or if those aren't provided, then use the opposite end of your chopsticks to get food. Do not stick your chopsticks into a rice bowl standing straight up. This is highly offensive as it is something done during funerals in Japan. Also, do not leave your chopsticks in the shape of an X or a cross, as this symbolizes death. Do not pass food to another person from your chopsticks to their chopsticks. That is a funeral tradition. Do not point with your chopsticks. That is considered rude, and I'll admit that that is something that I do if I talk while I'm holding chopsticks. So yeah, don't do that. Another thing to keep in mind when eating at a restaurant is that if you are eating a soup dish, slurping is part of the culture there. And while it may be loud and odd for a culture that's so quiet and focused on not disturbing others, slurping your noodles is a sign that you are enjoying the food. An article on Japan Today says, quote, The main reason people slurp their noodles is because it is the easiest, safest, and arguably most delicious way to eat them. And while I think that's a bit debatable, I will say that it is something I noticed while I was there, and it did make me feel like the food was extra good hearing the locals around slurping their noodles. Though not everyone will agree with this, I'm sure. Now, when you are done eating, in restaurants in other countries, your waiter or waitress may bring you the check and then take your cash or card from you, but in Japan, they will give you your check, and when you are done completely, you will take that to the front counter or register to pay. So if you are sitting there waiting for them to come and get your payment from you, then you might be waiting a while. When you go to the counter, you will use the provided tray to put your card or cash to pay for your meal. You will not directly hand your cash or card directly to the wait staff. That's rude. Have some manners. If they are handing you change or your card back, they will also put it on that tray instead of handing it directly to you. Finally, if you are paying, you do not need to tip in Japan. The culture in Japan does not involve tipping. So if you tip, they will often consider it as you forgetting your money and will try to give it back to you. Now, that being said, some places are becoming more westernized with tipping, but in general, from my experience, tipping is still not a common practice, and it doesn't seem that they want to incorporate tipping either. Now, if you are meeting up with someone for a meal in Japan, being on time is key. Punctuality is evident all over Japan, with the trains in Japan being some of the most on time in the world, with delays often measuring in seconds rather than minutes. Train operators have even issued apologies to customers over delays ranging in seconds as a sign of how much being on time is valued. And all of this comes back to respecting others, especially their time. It also shows you how reliable you are as a person. This in contrast to some other cultures where a meeting time is more of a mere suggestion than an actual concrete plan, and time is treated differently. Now, if you are with someone special in Japan, just know that PDA or public displays of affection are typically frowned upon. Kissing in Japan, even a quick peck, is considered excessive, and in order to be respectful of others around you, keeping PDA to a minimum is key. Hugs can even be interpreted as being a bit too much in public, especially in crowded areas or on trains. The culture amongst the younger generation is a bit more accepting of PDA, but in general, it is still taboo. You can find people walking around holding hands, but that's probably the extent that you'll see in public. If you are out in public and you are taking photos, this is another key thing to keep in mind when respecting others. When taking photos in touristy spots especially, it is nearly impossible not to get other people in your photos, and that's understandable. However, trying to avoid making others the subject of your photos by taking wider photos and not singling out individuals and avoiding direct faces as much as possible is important. People in Japan are generally more private and value individual privacy, so understandably, they would prefer not to be photographed unintentionally. There can also be legal consequences for photographing others without their permission, so in short, the lesson once again is be respectful of others. To continue to be respectful to others, if you are shopping, be respectful to the staff by putting items back where you found them and keeping the store orderly and clean. This may be tough in stores like Don Quixote, where it is essentially a madhouse for tourists scrambling to find things in the sheer chaos of shelves there. But do your part to ensure that everyone has a fun and pleasant shopping experience. Now, if you are visiting someone in Japan or are inside of a more traditional hotel or ryokan, there is a shoe for everything in Japan. First off, when entering, do not wear your outside shoes inside. Outside shoes are for outside only. So when you enter, you will take those outside shoes off and you will often find inside shoes or slippers for you to wear while you are inside. Now, if you go to the bathroom, you will find another set of slippers, and that is where you will change out of your inside slippers to your bathroom slippers. Bathroom slippers are strictly for the bathroom, and all of this ensures that your inside slippers stay completely clean inside. If you are visiting the inside of places like Nijo Castle in Kyoto, you will also be required to take your shoes off. So you will want to have a pair of socks to walk around inside. Now, finally, closing out this list, we have 2 more items. First is jaywalking, and this is illegal in Japan. I mean, have some respect for the hard-working traffic signals there trying to keep you safe. As tempting as it is, when you are at a light, if it is not your turn, even if there are no cars, don't cross. Wait your turn. As with most things in Japan, patience is a virtue. Lastly, we'll talk about onsens or hot springs. When you enter an onsen, there are a few expectations. First off, onsens are separated by gender. Second, you are expected to be naked, so no bathing suits of any kind. If you would like to cover yourself, you can use a small hand towel when you enter, and then when you are inside of the onsen itself, you can put that towel on your head. When entering the onsen, there will be a place to shower and rinse off before you actually enter the hot spring itself, and you are expected to rinse off before entering. After you finish your time in the onsen, you are expected to rinse again. And the final thing is that if you have tattoos, you are expected to cover them with a skin patch. This has raised a lot of questions in the comments before, and I'll say this. If you have small tattoos and you are going to bring a skin patch to cover them, you'll be fine. Some places also provide patches to cover tattoos as well. If you have a large tattoo, then you will want to look into the specific onsen that you are going to see if they allow tattoos. As the culture around tattoos shifts in Japan, some places are opening up and allowing them, but that does come down to the individual specific onsens themselves. So you will want to plan that in advance. Don't just assume that all onsens are going to be inclusive for people with tattoos, and don't assume that all onsens will restrict you if you have tattoos as well. So definitely look into it case by case and check the onsen before you go. All of this being said, the culture in Japan is shifting, and while things are slowly becoming more open to some influence from other countries, ultimately this is still their country and their culture, and we want to respect that as much as possible. When visiting their country, we play by their rules. What other cultural rules or manners in Japan stick out to you? Let me know in the comments section down below, and I will see you guys in the next one.